Hello my gorgeous plant people, welcome back to Reading Mindfully. My name is Ayana, and today I'm going to tell you 5 crazy / stupid things I did as a plant parent. Okay, so the first crazy / stupid thing that I did was staying up all night looking at plants. And you know how you just in the middle of the night scrolling on Instagram, just seeing what kind of plant is trending, or what your plant could look like if you got a small cutting, what your plant could look like as a full mature plant. So that's the first thing I did, was staying up all night looking at plants. And so the reason why this was crazy is because I had to work the next day. So I was just like, why am I staying up all night looking at these plants when I know I had to get up early? And at the time I was getting up at 4 and 5 o'clock. So I was hardly getting any sleep, and it wasn't because I was studying for a test or anything. I was looking at plants, and I'm just like, girl, you need to pull yourself together. Like, you're losing sleep because you're looking at plants. But at the time I was like so obsessed with getting plants and looking at plants and breathing plants. Like, everything was all about plants, that all I was doing was staying up late at night looking at plants. And when you have like your spouse or your boyfriend just laying next to you and you're just like huddled over like this, and you don't know what they're thinking. They probably think that you're doing something crazy or doing something that you shouldn't be doing. But I was over there like looking like this, and I was looking at plants. So it's just like kind of ridiculous that I was doing stuff like that. But I didn't want them to know that I was staying up late at night looking at plants. I mean, I'm already a crazy plant lady, but that's kind of crazy to just be like, looking at plants. But that was the first thing I did, was to stay up all night looking at plants, whether it was on Instagram or Facebook or Equagenaire or green spaces, and it was just nuts. And the next thing I did, if you guys wonder how I got so many plants from Equagenaire or green spaces, and it kind of goes along with the first point, is that I stalked these plants websites. I was on these plants websites 3 to 4 to 5 times a day just to see if they had restocked their plants. And with Equagenaire, they do have the notification feature, but their notification feature is really delayed, if it even works at all. So I was just going on there multiple times a day, refreshing the page, retyping in the keyword, just to make sure that that plant wasn't updated, or if it was updated, I was buying it. And that's how I got most of my anthuriums and philodendrons this summer, because I was just refreshing the page 2 or 3 times a day. And honestly, I could have been using this time doing other things. I could have been cleaning my house, I could have been playing with Sage, I could have been going to hang out with friends, although we couldn't have, now that I think about it, because that was quarantine. But you know what I mean. Like, I could have been doing all these other things, starting a new hobby, instead of just refreshing the page and being a plant stalker and waiting for these plants to come back in. But it's just crazy, because you wonder where your time goes in a day, and it's when you look back at things and it makes you realize, hey, I would spend 4 hours looking at plants, or hey, I spent 6 hours watching Netflix. So that's just why I put it on this list, because I spent all that time looking at plants and stalking the plant website. Now, the next thing on my list, I didn't think it was crazy until I saw some plant tags from other plant tubers. But the next thing I did was I drove more than an hour to a plant store. And now, for me and my mom, this is pretty normal for us, but apparently to other people it's kind of crazy. But I've gone to Logi's, and that was I think it was an 8-hour drive. I've gone to New York. We've gone to New York several times, actually. We went to the Sill specifically, and New York is about a 6-hour drive for us. And actually, we'll say that we're going to go to another place. Like, my mom likes this dress shop called Zori, but really we're going to go plant shopping. But we don't tell everybody that, because they'll think you're crazy for driving 6 hours to go look at plants. Who wouldn't, if you weren't in the plant community? But so after we had gone to Zori, Kenya, my mom got her dresses. So we were looking for the donut factory, and I am a terrible person when it comes to directions. Don't ask me how to go find something. Don't ask me how you get there, because I have a terrible sense of direction. So we were looking for the donut factory, and we ended up in Chinatown. Don't ask me how we did that. All I remember is seeing like ducks and pigs hung up in the window. But we ended up in Chinatown, which was really awesome. I always wanted to go to Chinatown, but we just hadn't intended to go to that day. But we found like 2 plant shops in Chinatown, and they were really awesome. And the lady that runs it was really nice. And that's actually where I got my Monstera from. And if you heard this story before, my mom's boyfriend actually carried my Monstera back to the car, which was like 20 blocks away, because we couldn't get a parking spot close enough to the shop. If you guys know how New York runs, it's a horrible place to try to find parking. But he had carried my Monstera 20 blocks back to the car, and we actually had to book it back to the car because I'm an impulsive shopper. I like to buy my things when I see it. However, my mom is not like that at all. So when we walked all the way back to the car, I think it was like halfway back to walking the car, she was like, I think I want to get a Monstera too. And I'm just like, and I should know how my mom operates because she does this all the time. But halfway through the walk, she was just like, I want to get that Monstera, because there was like 2 of them. So she wanted to get the other one. So we had to book it back to the car, 20 blocks, and hurry up and get the car, so that way we could bring the car back up to the shop, so we wouldn't have to go back to the store and bring 2 Monsteras, you know what I'm saying? But that was just the craziest thing ever. I mean, we were walking down one side and he was walking down the other side, and he had like the Monstera on his shoulder like he was balancing some kind of water bowl. It was nuts to hurry up, and by the time that I got back to the car, I was like drenched in sweat. Like, you would have thought that I had just taken a Thai boat class, because we were trying to hurry up to get back to the car to make it back to the store before it closed, so she could get her Monstera, because she didn't want to get it when I got mine. But that is just some of the crazy things that we do. We are always getting all these plants that can't fit in the car, and we had to finagle our way back to the car. And my mom has some crazy stories if you want to see her version of it, but this happens to us all the time. And the 4th thing is, I used to sneak in plants in the house. And I know some of you guys do this too, but when I used to live with my mom, I used to sneak in plants all the time, because she would always be like, you don't need any more plants. Like, you got 100 and some odd plants. Do you really need another plant? And you know how someone just makes you feel guilty about yourself, but then you turn around and you see another plant and you're just like, yeah, that just goes right out the window. So I used to sneak in plants all the time. And even when I moved here, I would sneak in plants, you know, my ex didn't see it. But now that it's just me and Sage, I don't sneak in plants anymore. If I want to get a plant, I get the plant. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't think that my neighbors are secretly judging me, because I feel like their eyes are on me when I'm bringing plants out of the car. But I no longer have to sneak in plants in the house. But that is some of the things that I did when I was living with my mom. I would go plant shopping, just, you know, perusing, looking at Lowe's or at a nursery, and I would hear her voice saying, do you really need that plant? And I hate that. Every time I go plant shop, she's like, do you really need that plant? I just hear it in the background, you know? And so sometimes I would just swipe my card defiantly, just like, and it feels really good. I would just swipe my card and was like, yes, I need this plant. But that's just some of the crazy things that happen when you're a plant parent. Like, you know you don't need any more plants. You know you already got 100 and some odd plants. But you just hear that voice, and it's just like, I'm going to get this for myself because I really want it. And the last thing that I did was to cancel my plans with friends and family. And this is not saying that I cancel all my plans. It's just some plans. Like, if my friend was like, oh, let's go to Chili's, Or, oh, let's go to Red Robin's. Now, some of these places aren't my favorite places, and that's because I don't eat meat. And so it wasn't like a no-brainer to cancel some of these plans, because you're going to take me to a restaurant where I can basically just eat vegetables. Like, restaurant vegetables, or go plant shopping and get really cool plant. I'm going to take the plant. So I would just say, oh, you know, maybe not today, or oh, I'm watching the way that I'm eating. I can't eat french fries today. Like, I would, you know, just make something like that. And I wasn't doing it all the time. And, you know, now with quarantine and everything, it's something that I won't be doing in the future, because I've had a lot of time with myself. And, you know, when things get back together, I would like to go ahead and make plans with, you know, friends and family. But that's just some of the things that I did. But what can I say? Look, if you guys have any other funny stories or crazy things you did as a plant parent, let me know. Drop it in the comment section below. I would be really excited and interested to know, and I could use a giggle. But as always, I want to thank you guys for liking my videos. Please subscribe and like my videos. It really does help. And also hit the notification, so that way you know every time I post a new video. But we will see you in the next video. Bye.